Hi, friends, colleagues, advocates. A lot of different ways to say friend. I should actually be probably learning the different ways to say friend around the world. Could make it just open the scope up a little bit, for myself. This is going to be a fun one. I'm very looking forward to this. Very much looking forward. I find that I just don't use good grammar when I'm speaking on the intros. It's like almost like just caveman, like getting to the essence of the words. Me happy about show. It good. We have fun. Talk a lot. Yeah. My buddy's here. This is going to be interesting. I'm actually not sure who's all going to show up for this show. I was really getting kind of excited to talk about this like kind of early mid 90s era of my life. It's been coming up a lot, I think, during the past year, and getting more nostalgic and all that. But just more like the 90s vibe is like cool now. It's cool. And we lived in an era where that's like the hip thing. And it's weird to think about like right now. Okay, so 25 years ago is, the 90s, the mid 90s, right? So when I grew up, I was born in 80, and 20 years before that was the mid 60s. I just never put that together for some reason. Like, oh, my parents were growing up in that era, and that was their, like high school and all that stuff. And so, but yeah, 90s, just like, it's fun times. And getting ready for this show, we've been talking, some of my buds about that era, and like I forgot some of the stuff that we were doing, mainly like specifically some video games that we would play. So I'm excited to talk about that, video games, movies, and just like all kinds of goodies. So I'm really looking forward to this, the 90s zone. Because it's a zone. You're in the 90s. It's like, it's silly. And even one of the things I love to do is just go on YouTube and watch commercial compilations from the 80s or the 90s. And it's so funny. They're great. Some of them are really like whacked out. And, there's that like, feels like a lot of right angles and neon and like, weird, like grainy, like graphic stuff, like shooting at you, like zoom in, zoom out. Because it was it was the time of like kind of right before computers and this new technology they had they were rocking on. radical rats. Yeah, this is gonna be great. Without further ado, yoo-hoo-hoo, let's do it.
All my friends till the very end, thank you for the fun and the play. Until next time, I hope you all do fine. Live to see another day. My pals and my peers, throughout all the years, you've done so much and wished me well. My guides and my teachers, all the...
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you guys here. This is amazing. I can't believe it. It's amazing to wrangle these two, and it somehow all works. And then and then poof, everyone's appearing. From distant galaxies away. AKA.
Future, Brad. We're 2 hours ahead of you, which is good. So we already know what just happened.
Yeah, the future. What's it like later tonight? What happens in 2 hours?
Well, you might want to lock your doors and close your windows.
Okay.
Buy GameStop.
Buy GameStop stock?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe buy. Well, I was going to just buy Babbage's and Electronics Boutique. Do you think I think they're going to come back?
I agree. I just bought some stock in Blockbuster.
Yes.
I hear it's making a comeback.
DVDs are going to make a comeback for
No,
them.
actually, Matt, there is a Blockbuster. It's like a faux Blockbuster, and they're setting up all over in the East
That's
Coast.
fancy.
You can actually, they're using the old what is like the old newspaper things where you put the money in, you pull it down,
Oh,
and you take a
what?
movie out of it, and then you can return it as well.
Dude.
You
Wait,
need
this doesn't. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They're gonna have movies loaded in a place where there's fucking where you get a newspaper from?
old
That's
newspaper vending machines. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They're gonna
That's a
have
great
movies
idea.
in it?
It's like a
Yeah.
it's like a well, I guess instead of red box, it's like a dead box.
Yeah.
Go back to the old
Yeah. It is.
old ways but I mean that's great. I'd love that. They have little setups. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
And
The
maybe
last
they could.
Blockbuster
It's
just
repurposing that because they're not. People aren't buying that, and then they get. And what would they repurpose telephone booths for, other than toilets?
Yeah.
Like a porta potty right now.
Yeah.
A
Well, they
see-through porta potty.
They
Be
have
like
those
if you
in-
really are feeling up for it, you're just going to be voyeuristic. You'd be like, I'll just kind of take a
Just
dump
like
in
this.
public.
Well, they just have to turn it around. So, like, put the booth part below, so then it's like a urinal. You step in. They have those in Amsterdam. They're just like literally, it's like a triangle, and you all
Oh,
go into
yeah.
like a little area, and you're like in the middle of a square. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
bizarre.
Dude, that's
They're
great.
Yeah,
It's a
That's
great
so
idea.
good.
Wait, what?
yeah. Let's just move on. Let's move
Well,
on.
We'll
I
move
want
on from there. Okay.
who
Okay.
who do-
Let Brad take the lead, please.
Well, who do we have here?
Oh.
We're all in this together, so I just want to say that. But who do we have there? Can you guys go around there? Let's take a little roll call.
You got Adam Bozarth from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Booyah! That's a terrible one. I'm not going to say that again.
yeah, you should edit that one out.
I'll edit myself out
So
saying
actually,
that.
that was very 90s. You
It's-
could have been like, "Who let the
that's-
dogs out?" Ooh, 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 and then
There we
that'd be
go.
Perfect.
That was okay. Great. So they'll keep that. We get to keep that.
Okay. So this is Matt, originally from Haddonfield, but from Abington, Pennsylvania, right now.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good place. It's nice. It's tasty.
It's
Flavorful.
yummy. Bop.
Nice. Hanson's. Rick, do you want to talk, or are you just going to be just looking at us?
Do you want to use a pseudonym?
I'm just waiting to jump in. I am Erik Price, and I am from Haddonfield, and still am in Haddonfield.
Nice.
I've moved exactly 0 feet since I was 18. Since I was 18.
Double giddy up.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep.
That is that's great. And I've known you guys for a long time. I mean, Matt, you and I went to preschool together. We're going to keep it, just so everyone knows, we're keeping this part short for because we could go into a deep dive into our long-term histories, but we've known each other since preschool, and Haddonfield, like I mean, Adam, Rick, I've known you guys since
6th grade.
6th grade. We met because Matt, I knew
Mrs.
you
Schmidt's
from
class.
That's it, man. Mrs. Schmidt. Yes. She would always stare at your forehead
I think we met
while she's
before
talking
that.
to you.
Brad,
That was Mrs. Lyons. No, that
Oh,
was Mrs.
Lions.
Lyons.
Oh, that
yeah, it was
Lions.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Lyons, but I think we met before them because we were playing kick the can at Elizabeth Haddon
Dude. Yes.
with Brad, with Yoan. So we were at Elizabeth Haddon, well before 6th grade. It was in between 5th and 6th, and we were hanging out at Elizabeth Haddon, running around the field and out front and everything. So yeah, we knew each other before we all
Yeah.
had that together with Miss Ryder, I guess it is now.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Elizabeth Haddon being an elementary school and also one of the founders of Haddonfield. Elizabeth
Yeah,
Haddon. Just
that's
a
right.
side note.
Good
Yeah.
old Elizabeth Haddon.
Yeah.
And our
Thank you.
school mascot Nada, which was just Haddon backwards. How brilliant is that? Just like me
my
Tad over in
Oh my gosh.
Tatum and Central. I didn't think they had a mascot.
We had
but
a
that
worm. It was a worm.
a
We were
worm.
we were the centipedes.
Central Centipedes. And they're the cheetahs now, though.
The cheetahs.
Before- They're the cheetahs, the central cheetahs.
Well, everything is so much faster now. Back then it was a little slower. So we were
Yes.
centipedes. Now it's like you
Yeah.
got to do everything right away.
You gotta
It's
be
like
quick.
yesterday.
You gotta be quick. The
Yeah.
centipede's gonna get squished unless you're a cheetah. It's gotta be on the move. And then, so yeah, there was these kind of like and you all were in Central, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then once we hit junior high, it was like the confluence of the 3 elementary schools meeting, and it was like, oh, cool, this whole new world's open where it's like we're all together, and that was really cool. Just coming out of our each respective elementaries.
Yeah, yeah, you're
elementary.
like starting little neighborhoods, right? It was like the different tribes of
Yeah,
Haddonfield all
that's
joined together. It was like Survivor, but in a middle school, even worse, even more like cutthroat and evil, just like insulting. Except you didn't get $1 million at the end. You just like went to high school.
It's
So
well, wait, didn't they also put Haddonfield Friends in there too? Didn't
yeah,
Haddonfield Friends come in? Like we met Mark Heimerling,
no,
yeah.
uh,
Mark, no, Ryan Roberts,
Ryan
right?
Roberts.
I really went to Central School.
All right, well, we don't have to throw names out, but yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. That
That's
was let's not throw
we'll,
other people
we'll
under
just
us.
we'll just call him M. Heimerling
What?
and
Lawrence, we'll call him Lawrence.
Oh, but
Lawrence.
did they come? Yeah, but they came from Friend School came in sixth grade as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the friend school was a
Don't
K
mention
through
any
5.
names.
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't
that's
mention
right.
any
People
names.
might people
Protect the
might we have to
innocent.
sign a non-disclosure for some of the get
Oh,
the
an NDA.
permission for.
All right,
No, that's fine. It's a I think.
you can edit that out.
I remember. No, I don't want to edit anymore. It's so much work.
There's going to be
Um,
more out than in right now.
So
Oh,
the thing with
that was a layup.
the thing, yeah, who's gonna dunk that shot?
I didn't want to go there. I was just like letting it hang.
Yeah, it's just too easy.
I'm letting it hang out.
It's no
And
fun.
eventually you can
It's
go
no,
back in.
you're gonna do it. It's no fun to hit, to brag about the softballs that you hit out of the park, right? There's not even a challenge in that.
No,
Hmm.
we're just gonna let. I mean, it was kind of sweaty, Rick. So we're just gonna let him, sweat there for a little bit.
Sweat hog it.
Okay.
The a little Travolta reference for some reason. There's no reason actually to reference him right now, so
Yeah, please.
I'll retract that statement.
Yeah.
So Haddonfield is like, it's great. Haddonfield. The more I've having space away from Haddonfield, the more I love it. I love Haddonfield. What a great place we grew up, right? I mean, yay.
Yeah, yeah. It's like your quintessential suburb. People rode bikes around. You could walk uptown. Everybody knows each other, which is good and bad. Like
Yeah,
good school system, pretty wealthy, pretty white, with your sprinkle of diversity.
yeah,
But like just like a really, really nice town, sense of community.
yeah.
Good place.
It's
Good place to grow up for sure.
What do you guys think?
I feel like Matt sounded like an advertisement there for Haddonfield.
Yeah, are you getting paid here? Are you on the payroll for Welcome Haddonfield?
Oh, wait a second, Rick.
I mean, that was totally scripted. And you read that somewhere. Tarditi.
I actually saw a teleprompter in Matt's glasses in the reflection.
No, full disclosure. Yeah, my dad told me I had to say something about Haddonfield as the former mayor. He's like, Matt, here's these 2 lines. Just make sure you plug the downtown business district and Kings Court. So
There.
sorry, I missed the Kings Court part.
Okay.
We've prepared something for you to say.
Yeah. So that okay. So I guess it is important that I mentioned that as a child for 16 years, from 2 to 18, my dad was the mayor of Haddonfield. So there is maybe a certain like political aspect to my describing of Haddonfield. So yes, that's where that promotional portion comes from.
Which is good. It's good because it's a sweet place, you know. I mean, it's like sure, whatever, we can look at its foibles here and there, but it's like, what a nice place to just, bike around. So, the reason I was really wanted all of you here is like the time period we were in. I just felt like, oh, how simple. And maybe, we hear our parents talk about that too. Oh, simpler times, but it was simpler times, it's simpler from, the 25 years ago from it is now. Slower pace. I've been really into some of these shows, the whole like pre-internet world, where like we could, we had our landlines, we had our phones, the answering machines. Like these are pretty slower and simpler, right?
Yeah, you had call waiting. You had what? You had 2 phone lines in your house, one for AOL and one to talk on.
Yeah.
No, it was kind of like we were the kids in ET or in Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
We're bike gangs that rode around town all the time, and you could go outside. And once you were out, you were basically you were gone. Like you couldn't be reached until you came home or like went to another person's house. We're like now you're constantly connected. So that was a big part of growing up at that point. Was it like you'd have to say where you're going till what time, and then once you're out of the house, it was like you were on an adventure. and like no one could reach you until you showed up somewhere else, or you were
Right.
found.
Right. Right.
It's amazing. How rare is that now, right? I mean, it's like the spontaneity. Like we'd be able to just be off, and then maybe we'd run into someone. You're like, I kind of know they're there, maybe, but like maybe they're not going to be there. I just have to go for it, and it's so. Yeah, it's just like the spontaneous feeling. I guess it feels so hard to be spontaneous these days because everything is so dialed in, right? And you just know you're pinpointing there's like a GPS on your emotions and everything that's happening. And there it was just this freedom to be like, we're just flying out, we're going, we're biking, we're free.
Yeah, I feel like I'm dominating now. I should shut up so Rick and Adam can jump on. See, Rick's what's going on over there, Rick? What's happening to you, man?
No, I was thinking, like when one of the questions when we were like what, like 10, 11, 12, one of the biggest things in my mind was the upstairs line. Do you remember the upstairs line? That was like a phrase. That was a thing. I was trying to explain that to Brittany because she's not from this town. And, you'd call someone down on the downstairs line and then you're like, yeah, man, call me upstairs. Call me upstairs. And you like hang up and dial like the number that went into your personal bedroom, into your personal bedroom.
Yes.
Like that's not a thing everywhere. We all had upstairs lines.
No, because you couldn't just call your friend directly. You'd have to call the house. So like if it was too late, the dad would answer, or like I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Trojan. Like, is Brad there? Like I know it's after 10. I know." I wonder how many times I pissed off Mrs. Bozarth for calling like too late or too many times.
Right. That happened.
Like, Miss Bozarth, I'm sorry, but like, is Adam there?
Really need to, because then if you really need to get him, you'd call him upstairs. And if you didn't get him, you'd call him downstairs.
That's
right?
it.
I'm sorry, Miss B. I need to talk to him.
And it was usually like I don't know. I'm guessing it wasn't like it was basically 9 p.m. was cut off. It's like, well, now I'm pushing it. If I'm gonna call the actual main line, the downstairs line, it's like that's it. I'm over. If I'm over 9 or something, forget about it.
Like 9:15 was questionable that you might be able to call. 9:30 was like a hard stop. Like you can't call after 9:30.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're gonna have like what?
Oh no, I was thinking, when I think about when we were kids, I feel like I would call you all the time, and you'd be doing it every time I called you.
What's that?
Watching TV. You're watching TV every fucking time I called you, man. And I could tell you were watching TV when we were on the phone because I'd be like telling you, hey, whatever, and you'd be like, and I'd be like, what are you watching? And you tell me what you were watching.
It may be like one of the Police Academy movies.
Yes, dude, you always had the Police Academy movies.
I did. Oh my god, those are my favorite.
Dude, I watched one of them when I watched one of them this summer. I forget which one. I think it was maybe the second one. It's like not Citizens on Patrol. It was the second one, and it's so good. It's just so great.
It is.
The Police Academy.
The first one was amazing. The first one was like off the charts amazing. Second one was good. Third one kept on. When they went to Miami, I mean that like. Don't get me wrong. I mean it was totally worth it because it added more ridiculousness to it. But it was. I mean,
one of the parts from all the Police Academies that I think it was from the Miami one. It was where on a Mauser they suntan Dork and everyone's just
Dork.
Hey Dork, hey Dork, what's up Dork?
That's one of the best scenes ever.
This is a very rude city of yours, Captain. I don't know why that is. Dork.
In Police Academy 2, one of the best parts with Mauser was when he's they trade his shampoo with
shampoo.
And he's washing his hair and his hands get stuck in there, and then he comes out of the shower and they pretend it's like the one guy had a dog and they pretended it was a dog, and the guy who made all those noises with his mouth was like barking at him, and he's like, oh no, don't do it to me. And then he breaks out into the lobby and he's completely naked and his fingers are like, epoxy to his head. Like, I mean, unbelievable.
It was Jones, right? Wasn't it Jones? Was the guy who made all the sounds?
Jonesy.
And then Bobcat Goldway. And the first one, he was like a criminal.
He was
but
the
then
first
became
one.
A police officer. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, he fell down the steps and he would go, didn't hurt. didn't hurt. Didn't hurt. That hurt.
He,
Unbelievable.
I remember seeing those too, and I was like, is Bobcat Goldthwait? Is that really how he sounds? Is he
Oh, it
okay?
is. Yeah,
It's kind of like, oh, this is his character, but he's like that in every movie.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's
So
your
funny.
shtick, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what he does.
Hey
Yeah.
man, that got him there. That shit got him a couple $1 million.
Got him hot to trot.
Hot
Dude.
trot, baby.
That
You
you know
there's
what's
4
this?
people in the world that have seen that movie, and guess
That's-
where they are right now, Tarditi? They're on this phone call. I used to love that.
I think one of my other shows, one of the first shows, one of my guests, I think we talked about Hot to Trot. I'm not sure, but I know it's one of his favorites. So this is just funny that there's even a Hot to Trot thread now that has started in this show.
Totally.
It's
trending.
ridiculous.
It's
That
trending
movie was
right now.
so funny.
It is. Yeah.
There's so many bad movies that were just so bad that they were good, right? Like
Yeah.
there's like a certain point where the movie gets so bad, then it becomes laughable, and then it is enjoyable.
The
right?
tag.
Like Hot to Trot, Police Academy. Those were some of those movies that were just like so bad they were hilarious. They were just amazing.
What about like Dragnet, the original with Tom Hanks? Not the
Oh.
original, but whatever. Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd.
That one was again. I mean, I feel like I've watched
That's
so
a
many
great movie.
movies this year. That's a good one. I think I saw that, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm
That's
gonna
a
give
cool-
this a crack and see if it holds up. And I was like, they kind of did. And
That's a great movie.
the Hot to Try. Because I remember this. The tagline for that was on the cover: "You'll laugh till you're hoarse."
Oh my god! Of course it was. Of course it was.
I think
That's pretty terrible.
It's bad.
one of the greatest old, I mean, mid '80s movies. Matt sent a text. What was it last week, Matt?
I don't
And
know
you what band was playing on it?
which
You
movie?
know when it was, Tarditi. Don't act like you don't remember.
It was
was
late
last
80s,
week.
early '90s, and it was Spies Like Us.
Oh,
Spies
yeah.
Like Us was just, I mean, a killer movie. I mean, Dan Aykroyd. He was great. I mean, Chevy Chase. It's just anything
Yes.
after those guys in Saturday Night Live, they made movies and I think they killed it. I mean, they really, but they weren't good movies. They weren't blockbusters, but I don't know. I could watch them, all the time.
Yeah, Brad, when you're talking about movies in the 90s, the fact that I think in the early 90s we were still watching VHS. We didn't get the DVD until the late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember when DVDs came out, but
Yeah.
like just the viewing experience was so much different when it was on VHS. Because after a while the quality would get bad. So if like you went to rent a movie that had been watched so many times, like it would be grainy, and like there'd be parts like if people tried to record over it, like all of a sudden it would just go like fuzzy and white. You're like, wait, someone tried to record over this? So that's the other part. Remember recording over movies? Like you
Yeah.
could if you pulled that little tab, you couldn't
Then you couldn't
like,
record over
you
it
couldn't
anymore.
record.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and like recording TV, you'd like hit the record. If you had the TV VCR when it first came out, the combined
Sure.
thing, you like want to record something. Occasionally, it'd be late at night because that's like Prism Night Owl. Like,
So that's funny that you say that, because it reminds me of the beginning of this conversation. We were talking about Simpsons. I don't know about you guys. I had 20 VHS
Yeah.
tapes of The Simpsons.
Yeah,
I
dude.
taped them. They were never labeled. I was always going to like watch them and label them.
Yeah.
Taking me a fucking week. I mean,
Yes.
can you imagine
It took so
doing
long.
that?
And then I remember like sometimes I'd get it without the commercials, and then other times like, all right, and just let it go and roll.
Yeah, he's gonna have to deal with it later. Gonna have to
'Cause that-
fast forward.
I mean, just to like, so people really understand, it's like there was no streaming, there was no YouTube. I mean, we take that for granted now, right? It's like YouTube, yeah, when it came out, I remember it was like, it's off and running. Now everything's streaming, everything's there. There was very limited amounts of what we were trying to access, right? I mean, it was like, yeah, you could maybe, if you had to get it on TV, you just happened to catch it, you got it, but you better nab it on VHS. Or you're going to get 2 VCRs and do like a legal dub. I never did that.
mhm.
I
No,
did
we're-
that. Yeah, I was gonna say, Trojan, you did that all the time.
I did it
man.
a lot.
You can't
did
you
it
can
all
you
the
can't see the
time.
wink. You can't see the wink on the podcast. So.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
it.
Or there's always people like families that had like a library of movies they taped from TV.
Yeah.
And you can always tell like where they got they taped the commercial out of it. Right, but they had
Yes.
like all these great movies, but they were all dubbed and edited and like made for TV.
Yeah, but it was
You know?
so hard. It's like a record player. Like you're trying to like drop the pin exactly where the song starts. Is
Sure.
the VHS. Like you were like, I guess I'm just stuck watching this to get to the next good part.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were brutal, but yeah, you were sitting there wasting. I mean, you were essentially wasting a ton of time, watching these. I remember recording on tape the Indianapolis 500. And I mean, it was on for like 4.5 hours. And I would seriously, like, the next Sunday be like, all right, well, I'm going to watch the Indy 500 this Sunday. And I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. If I went back and looked at myself, 25 years ago, I'd be like, what are you doing watching the Indy 500? Like, come on. And on a tape. I mean, it was, I don't know. It was crazy. But yeah, you would tape a lot of stuff that was just, not worth it.
Yeah, it was, and I remember there was some videos that was like you could get like 8 hours out of the VHS. It got really thin, like
Right.
tape at the end, but the most of it, yeah, it was interesting. So what we were like, yeah. Anyway, which then leads us into like we were going out a lot to movies, and this was like prime '90s movies, right? Like these classics now.
Alien. Remember seeing Alien? Not Alien. Species with
Species.
is it Rebecca
No,
Stamos? Who's the
no,
main?
no. It was
Species.
Natasha Henstring.
That's
Oh
it.
my
Hendridge.
God.
Natasha Hendrick.
Hendridge, yeah, something like that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Some cool
That
Russian.
movie was incredible. When you're 13, that movie was even. I mean, I think there were kids' heads exploding.
Well, that's
It wouldn't survive.
if you're a young adolescent in the 90s when like you don't have YouTube, you don't have your internet, and you can go see a movie where there's a boob, then like okay, it's like it's an action movie and there's also some boobs. So it's like bonus. It's just like awesome sci-fi movie and this girl is hot and you see her naked. It's like okay, I'm a 15-year-old, like I want to go see that movie in the theater.
You see some woolly bullies.
Yeah.
Some woolly bullies.
Which my dad
Oh
called
my
them that. I guess I
God.
don't know why.
Under
woolly
Siege.
bullies.
It was Under Siege.
Yeah, Under Siege was another great one. Yeah.
Dude, Under
That-
Siege.
Did they say woolly bullies in Under
No.
Siege?
No, my
No, Ed
dad
did.
would call it. He would say woolly bullies for some reason. I don't know
That's what it
why. But this is funny because obviously, like I said, I've seen so many movies this year and revisiting things. There was this in the scene in. Just want you to see this for a second. And again, we're not doing this as a video podcast, but just so you guys can get the vibe of some of the ridiculousness is Under Siege.
Is that Gary Busey? It is.
So we're watching Gary Busey dancing as a woman and Under Siege. And I think this is important for people to pause the show right now, and you're going to have to look up the scene of Gary Busey dancing in Under Siege. I think that's important for people. I don't think you should be allowed to go on with your life until you see that scene.
Yeah, I mean, it should have gotten an Oscar. I don't know how it didn't. Tommy Lee
Oh,
Jones.
you know it's so political,
gonna
though,
say,
Tarditi.
Tommy Lee-
You know the
actually-
Oscars are just so political. It's all about. Sorry, Adam.
No, it's okay. I can't believe that Tommy Lee Jones was in. I forgot he was in that movie. Like I forgot he was the
Yeah.
the absolute villain.
He got
bad
stabbed in the
dude.
eye in the end.
right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. That's a bad way
Oh,
to go.
I think he
That's
gets
a bad way
stabbed
to
in the
go.
eye, and then they throw him into the radio or
The-
like
the radar
the
thing?
console.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But he deserved it. He
Well,
like
that was
tried.
nasty.
He tried to win a knife fight with Steven Seagal. I mean, come on, you're not
You're
gonna
not-
win that. Steven Seagal's arms are so fast. He just like moves his arms. You don't even know what's happening.
Do you know that Britney said that her family used to think that Steven Seagal was a sex symbol in the early 90s?
Wow.
Oh,
I don't think
He-
there was any other.
He was a man
person
ahead
that
of his
thought
time. He had a ponytail, a
Yeah.
long hair. He was a good looking guy.
Well, he was, and now
I mean, I think that's a bit much. I don't know if I'd go that far.
a sex symbol.
Well,
Well, what
you're
we
not comfortable with your manhood, Rick. I don't know.
No, I mean, no, I'm just saying, no.
we're edging on edit mode.
Oh, sorry.
but like I
Sorry,
said,
Sorry,
though in the
already
beginning
forced
here,
us into an edit.
because we're in the '90s zone, that was pretty politically incorrect. So I mean, it's like we're in the '90s era. If we're gonna be true to the times, But we're not. We're not going to go in that zone. But with the other flip side of Seagal, right? And we were talking about a little bit of this on the video chat. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to plug anything because they're not paying me to plug it, so I won't do it. But it was Van Damme. It was like Seagal and Van Damme. They were like the '90s dudes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Bloodsport is one of
Yeah.
the greatest movies of the '90s. Come on.
Bloodsport. Yeah, I know.
Double Impact. We had
Double-
two Van Dams.
Kickboxer.
Yeah.
Kickboxer. I think Kickboxer's better than Double Impact.
Yeah.
I think Bloodsport's at the top and the Kickboxer's
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think? Kickboxer.
Well, this is interesting. So, Matt, I know you were saying Double Impact, where he plays himself twice. So, right, he's doing like twins. I think Kickboxer.
I think Bloodsport, then Universal Soldier, then
Universal
decide
Soldier's
on
pretty
the others.
dope.
'Cause I had
Pretty
Dolph
dope.
Lundgren.
Universal Soldier. Yeah, it's dope. That's right. Yeah. Good point.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
the fact that he had
That's
to he had to like be put in a bathtub on ice because he was overheating.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren and all these other robot soldiers trying to get him. He like runs through walls. I mean, come on.
You remember when they came out
Spoiler
with the
alert.
Universal Soldier 2?
Oh, sorry, if you haven't seen Universal
Spoiler
Soldier.
alert! Oh boy, you guys. Which one, Rick? Which the Universal Soldier 2?
Oh yeah, they came out with the 2. I remember being really excited about it because I really liked Universal Soldier 1, and
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was
Yeah.
not anything like the first one. And Van Damme wasn't in it. Neither was Dolph Lundgren.
But you talk about disappointing sequel, but in the '90s, one of the best sequels of all time, Terminator 2, came out, and that
Oh,
movie
yeah.
was like
It was
rocked.
groundbreaking.
It was groundbreaking. Like the animation with the T-1000, whatever.
Yeah.
That was the like revolutionized special effects, and like when he comes out of
That's
the
James
floor
Cameron,
and it's checkered.
Yeah.
Yeah. That talk about one of the better movies of that time, especially as a adolescent male. Going
Yeah.
to see Terminator 2. Come on.
I agree with that. That might have been like the winner of sequels, where it's kind of better than the first.
No, Rocky 2 was pretty good too, though.
Yeah, Rocky
Right?
2.
Rocky 2 is
Lang.
pretty good.
That was
Yeah.
good. Right,
No.
so-
That's Rocky 3, Tart. Rocky 2, he still fights Apollo Creed, right?
Yeah, they had the rematch and he wins. Rocky wins
Yeah.
there.
Because Rocky 1, he loses. Rocky 2, he wins. Rocky 3 is Hulk Hogan and Mr. T.
Mr. T, right. Yeah. And then 4 is Dolph Lundgren, the Russian, and 5 is the...
Which actually might have been better than all the other ones.
Yeah, that was
4 was
fantastic.
really good.
It was so good.
Yeah,
Hey,
4
so
was
we
really
at this
good,
time we were like also we brought up it was before we started talking about the movies 10, right? There was like the beginning of more. I don't think this is funny because we take it for granted now, right? But there was like just single movie houses, like there was just like 1 or 2 screens, and then there was like, oh wow, there's these theaters coming out with like 8, 10 screens.
Right.
Yeah, the multiplex.
Multiplex.
Movie Town was the first one to do it in South Jersey. I mean, that like blew everyone away because.
But then there
you
was Atco.
You had the
Yeah.
Eric. Oh, that's right. Atco
Atco was the
Atco.
first one.
Atco was
Yep.
the first, and then it was so far to drive, or for our
Yeah.
parents to drive at that point.
Movies 10 was kind of like that's where we're going. That was it.
Yeah. That's what other than Atco had what, the Raceway, and then they
Yeah.
had the multiplex, and that was pretty much
Adam, but do you need anything more than that? I mean, that's really the question, I think. Raceway in the movies. Like, what else do you need, man? I feel like if you need more than that, you might be starting to get a little high maintenance.
Especially if coming from the kid who just said he recorded.
That's what I feel.
I'm
they're
just-
back.
we're
Speaking of
back.
that,
We're
they're
back. They're back. Wayne's World. I just want to
Yeah,
preempt
they're-
it by saying we just came back on here, and so Wayne's World, because we had a little technical flubber, and now it's back. But we were just saying we were getting motion sick from one of the participants in the Zoom,
Who shall remain nameless.
but their
Also-
actions speak
Flubber.
louder than words.
Flubber.
Flubber's
he's
also
nutty
a movie.
professor.
Yeah, sorry.
Nutty
Flubber is also a
professor.
movie. But I was saying I feel like we're going to spew. And then you're like, Wayne's World. Wayne's World was like the epitome of, that was like revolutionary for a 90s flick.
Oh, well, was it that one of the bigger Saturday Night Live skits that became a movie, right? And that Bohemian Rhapsody scene in the car is one of the more iconic scenes of any movie, right?
That was incredible.
Sorry, Adam, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you're 100% right. It came out of Saturday Night Live that you had two guys that were on what? It was Cable One or whatever.
Hmm.
And they just exploded out of Saturday Night Live. You're 100% right, but that was I think there were, I mean, like we talked about earlier, like Spies Like Us, like those two actors came out of Saturday Night Live, but this was like the next biggest thing that came out of Saturday Night Live was, Wayne's World. I mean, and it blew up on the screen, and yeah, it gave way to a lot of cultural, things like you can't play Stairway to Heaven when you pick up a guitar in,
Yeah.
in a music store, or if you're gonna spew in this, or swing, and all that.
Swing. Do you think that? So here's a good question then for y'all. Is that the most iconic Saturday Night Live? Do you think that's the most famous movie that's come out of a Saturday Night Live character or skit?
Probably, because what, Coneheads was a big one, but that movie was a flop. That was
That
a
movie was
Saturday Night Live
terrible.
skit.
What's
There was
this?
like the what was it, Stuart Smalley? They made a movie
Yeah.
with that. That was not good. Adam
Wait,
Sandler.
you're going too fast. You're going too fast. Wait. What,
Sorry, man.
Are there any other?
The-
No, you're
Sorry,
good. You're good. I just can't
Roxbury.
remember as quick as you can.
What's up, Rick or Adam?
Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, that was also
Yeah,
terrible.
it was a-
Um,
Chris Kattan made one.
Yeah,
that was it. Night of the Roxbury.
No. That was
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, but Chris Kattan by himself made
another one. Ooh.
where he played a
Uh,
bunch. He played a bunch of his characters from
Oh my
SNL.
gosh,
The fact that no one knows
Corky,
I was probably
Corky
flop.
Romano,
Corky Romano.
Corky Romano.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, that.
Tim Meadows made one too.
Jeez.
Ladies
But
Man.
yes, the ladies,
Ladies
man.
Man,
The ladies
yeah.
man.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty clear that Wayne's World
Wayne's World.
was.
That's
yeah,
it.
Brad, I think you're 100% right.
Well, wasn't sure. You guys, I think we've just workshopped this though, and we've come to the conclusion that it's Wayne's World. I feel better now. I feel good.
Whew, I take a breath.
So that was a lot. I feel like it hurt myself thinking that for some reason that question was like an overload. So anyway, we're going to these multiplexes, right? And we're the newer world of movies where it was exciting. It was exciting too because that was the first time for us we could get dropped off and we're on our own watching a movie,
Right.
And movies 10 happened. We were saying, I don't know why, but they had the pickles. They had pickles that you'd eat. You could buy a pickle out of the big jar.
And no one ever did.
But
No one ever did. Not one person bought a pickle at the movie theater, except for Brad.
And I remember it came in like a little wax
bag.
pouch, like a wax
Yeah, a little
pouch.
bag.
What?
Oh,
It
What
was
is-
a big pickle. It was like a huge dill pickle.
You
And
gnaw on it.
on
You
it,
gnaw
yeah.
on it.
Hey man, I like
never
pickles.
I never wanted to sit next to Brad because the slurping noise that he made while eating it was
Everybody looked at that menu. I guarantee out of 100 people, 99 people looked at the menu and went, ew, pickles? And 1 out of 100 says,
Me.
oh, pickles.
That's me. That's me, man.
Brad.
The rare.
it was all the way at the bottom. It was all the
Yeah,
way at the
it would
bottom.
sink.
Like soda, popcorn, hot
Yeah.
dogs,
Yeah.
and then the pickle was all the way at the bottom for $1. You could get the largest dill pickle that was sitting in this jar.
It's almost a nightmare.
Why? Why was there pickles for sale?
Yeah. I mean, why aren't
You
there
guys-
more pickles for sale? Is the question
That's-
I have.
That's good. Why aren't there more?
Because they don't go bad. You pickle something and it's good forever, right? So they just had
That's
a
the
barrel
whole
of
point.
pickles. Yeah. So
They're like,
they
You
don't
know
have-
what the funny thing is?
Yeah.
A pickle is a pickled cucumber. Like, why don't they fucking
Oh.
call it a cucumber? Right? It's like you can pickle
Yeah.
all sorts of things, but
No.
only the cucumber gets its own pickle.
Oh,
Right.
that's interesting. It's
100%.
the verb. The verb becomes
Sorry.
also the noun for it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
right? Yeah.
Oh wow.
But do you remember this other little treasure from movies 10? Do you remember what you would ask the person behind the counter when you ordered popcorn? What would you
butt-
always ask for more?
Can I get with butt hair?
With butt hair.
What?
We said we wanted popcorn with butt hair.
Oh my god.
Oh, just to like you said it quickly, so it
Just to-
sounded like butter.
Oh,
And they'd be
butter.
like, they
Oh.
would just get it. They wouldn't even think to it. And Needham was the one
Ca-
who he just like would do it
Yeah,
quickly.
Needham.
Oh,
And,
dude.
and then he would say, "Yeah, can you get extra butt hair on there?" And
That probably informed
You
by
got
Wayne's
it.
World. Probably informed by Wayne's World.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. That sounds about right.
That's probably what. That's
We
probably
were,
that's
we were a bunch of what? A bunch of 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-old, whatever. And that we were just not terrorizing, but we were just, I mean, these people that were there to serve us, that were, nice. It was their job. They were 17, 18 years old, and they were, just trying to, work at a movie theater. Or when, you go to the Spectrum and you ask people, do you know where the pretzel place is? Or, how do do you have any hands here?
Remember we called KB Toy Store?
Yeah.
We called KB Toy Store and asked if they had hands. And then
I mean, come on, that was awful. That was like crank calling people. That's the same thing as crank calling. Hey, is your refrigerator running? Well,
yeah.
you better go catch. I mean,
That's the
That was
updated
the
version
funniest
for the
joke.
90s is like what we were
Oh,
doing with
man.
crank calls.
that was the funniest joke when I heard it.
Yeah.
Who do we call? Like the pretzel place and asked them if they sold hands. And when they said no, we said, well, then how do you make the pretzels if you don't have hands?
unbelievable.
We'd hang up.
Well, it didn't at movies 10. It didn't help that the people wore rubber suspenders and bow ties.
And
Yeah.
Like, look at the
plastic bow
biggest
ties.
tweens. Yes, like they were just glutton for punishment, and
I
we were ready
know.
to dish it out.
They were setting themselves up there. I mean, come
Can we
on.
get someone with extra butt hair, please?
Um,
Yep, you got it.
So we would frequent that. I remember seeing a lot of great films at Movies 10.
Oh yeah.
90s stuff. There's also like the malls that would have the theaters. Sometimes there's always like go out to like I don't know, Deptford or Morristown, some of the like far out where you're just like on the periphery and there'd just be like, oh, well, this is the only place it's showing or the time or something like that. Yeah, I think something like Ace Ventura, The Mask, like some of those, right? I mean, those were.
Oh, but Brad, I remember seeing Ace Ventura: Pet Detective with you, Brad,
Yes.
and I had never laughed so hard in a movie theater that I literally fell out of my seat. I think both of us like fell out of the seats. We were like in the aisles laughing so hard. We're like, what is this? Like, what is
Yeah.
this movie? Like, is this for real? And that was the Deptford Mall 6. There was like the
That's
Deptford
it.
8 and the Deptford Mall 6. They were
Yes.
both around the Deptford Mall.
That's so
also-
weird. There was
yeah.
two. That's funny. But that I remember that, and that's the thing. Like that was really cutting edge, right? I mean, Ace Ventura, something like that. It was just like it was coming into a new echelon, which is a lead into our next thing, an upper echelon of different movies, right? I mean, like different than like the '80s stuff. There's like this new, sharper, snarkier like comedy coming.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but don't like the 80s weren't all bad though, right? I mean, there was still Flashdance in the 80s. That was pretty good. Am I the only one?
You might
Hey,
on this
Flashdance.
call
Just
maybe.
for the record, all our
Flashdance
mics are working.
Listen, Flashdance broke some boundaries. You know what I mean? I mean, it was pretty hard hitting for the time.
The only thing I remember about Flashdance is when Chris Farley dances in the gas
Yeah.
station, Tommy Boy, when
Oh,
he's
yeah.
getting closed down. He's like, I'm a maniac.
The only thing I remember about that movie is that your brother had a poster of it on his way up to the 4th floor.
Oh,
Remember? He had
Tommy Boy.
Dan had a poster.
well, that makes sense though, because again, this is like like we're saying,
Yeah.
this is the little bits you could get here and there of like a little bit of TNA, and like you get it on a poster, and that's it, man. That's as good as
Do
it'll
you
get.
remember when you moved up to the 3rd floor, Brad?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you got those posters? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I do. I kind of am a little surprised that I put some of them up now. Like I'm kind of like I guess that was okay.
One, you cut out of the poster, but then you taped to it or something.
Well, it was
that-
so the one that was saucy. I don't know how I got this. I got this at Wow Video. Remember
Wow
Video?
yeah.
So Wow Video, which was so great. I think that was my favorite video
Yeah.
rental store that was in our zone, in the neighborhoods. But it was for some reason they had like, oh, you could buy a poster when you're walking out of the store for like $1 or something, and I sometimes would like flip through and you'd see whatever, like a Van Damme or something, and there I don't know why they did this. I think they shouldn't have done this, but it was John Wayne Bobbitt uncut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the porno that he did when he got his wiener sewed back on.
Frankenpenis.
Well, there was Frankenpenis, and then there was John Wayne Bobbitt uncut. So maybe it was like he did a couple or
Frankenpenis
something.
was a classic.
Dude. And this one was that poster, and it's like I had to cut the bottom off because it had some some images on there. and I didn't want to just have that up in the, I feel like that would cross the line with my parents. But still having
Might
that,
have.
a John Wayne Bobbitt freaking movie poster, it's like, okay.
Yeah, Wild Video. Go, Adam.
Wild Video, and they also had Easy Video over by Movies 10 that sat on the corner as well. So it
Easy
was
Video.
West Coast,
Oh, Easy
West
Video,
Coast
yeah.
Video, Easy Video, Ellis Street Video.
Ellis Street
Yes.
Video.
Ellis Street was great.
The little
Because
tags you'd pull off, and
exactly. You could rent your movies there. You could ride up, on your bike, get a movie, and go home and watch
Yeah.
it. It was fine.
And it was in an old house, right? It was an old house,
Yes.
right? In neighborhoods. You
Yeah.
feel like you'll walk into someone's house and like pick the little tag out and got your video.
It was right next to the Acme.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
so great. That was our neighborhood video store, and then you'd also be able to get videos. This was a time too where you were renting videos from actually drugstores, grocery stores.
Right.
You could do all that.
Sure.
It was great.
And Brad, just to draw on what you were talking about with Jim Carrey, I mean, he came out of In Living Color. I mean, he was like, if you look at the Wayans brothers, I mean, you want to say that Saturday Night Live produced a lot? I mean, In Living Color produced a lot of really good movies that and actors that came out of there too. I mean, the Wayans brothers were awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yeah,
dude, yes, yeah.
But yeah, Jim Carrey
that-
came out of it, and these guys were just, trying to make it, and they were doing stand-up comedy to get on these TV shows, to get, to really make it in, and they weren't going to Hollywood, but they were just making it out of, Second City or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they were getting on TV for a while, and then they were blowing it up in these movies. And Jim Carrey would have been nothing
He's
without In Living Color.
he's pretty Fire Marshal Bill.
Oh
that
my
was
God.
dude.
Let me show you something.
And he was the clown too, wasn't he? And he would
No, Homie the
that was
Clown?
Damon. That was
Tim
Damon
Meadows.
Wayans. That was Damon Wayans.
Oh, Damon Wayans. Yeah.
But you were talking earlier about the rental places. That's something that's so different, is that there was a finite availability of movies. So like now we all have Netflix. We can all watch the same movie. Everyone can watch the same movie right now. But
Mhm.
back then, like if it wasn't there, then you just had to wait until another night when the movie was returned, and you'd know, can I put it on reserves? They would call you, be like, okay, we got back Wayne's World. You have an hour to pick it up. You rush get Wayne's World because someone just returned it. It's that's something also that's so different now than back then, where there was a finite amount, and if it wasn't there, then you just had to wait.
That is such a good point. There was maybe in any given time within surrounding towns, a few people could watch the same movie.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right.
So wild.
And then the late fees or the non-rewind fees,
Oh my God.
just, I mean, and we all know somebody who can be renamed nameless, that probably owed over $150 to one movie store due to the fact that they were consistently late or did not rewind a movie, and they probably they were shamed for it, and it was, but that was what it was. If you didn't rewind it, or if it was late, I mean, it was social injustice at that point,
And then go, Brad.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, and also these rental places would have a device just to rewind cassettes.
Yeah.
They just what? Talk about it a thing with a very niche purpose. It's literally just to rewind a cassette.
I was realizing that these there's the resurgence now where Rick's coming back. He's coming back. He was away for a minute. There was a resurgence of nowadays too, vinyl and stuff like that, and VHS in a way. And I feel bad saying this because I all my memories. I still feel those were simpler times, but I'm kind of I do like streaming better. I mean, I would even just say DVDs. I will still get DVDs. We have a rental store here in Tucson that's still doing good, and I'll go and get something sometimes a Blu-ray, which I think looks better than streaming. It's quality wise, it's okay, I'm gonna really splurge a little to get a good quality experience. But I've tried VHS even just for fun to be I'll try it, and it's not as good. It's not it's not that great TV, to go back and be like, I'm going to turn on vinyl. It's like vinyl sounds great, it sounds really nice. It doesn't work the same with VHS. Maybe Laserdisc.
Oh, the jumbo laser disc that's like that big.
Dude, I remember those a lot at Tower Records, like going through and just being like, wow, this looks amazing. A huge movie. It's like, what's that like? It's like
And
that.
you had to flip them.
Yeah.
You had to flip them.
Dude, Laserdisc. So we would, so I'm also getting to like, our movie escapades, we started to like go out, as we were venturing out and be like, okay, you can be unleashed for a little bit. And our parents are all trusting us, which I really want to talk about the Echelon Mall, so the Echelon Mall was this place that was about, it's like 15 minutes really from where we grew up, right? 15-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just talking, my mom's visiting. So she's like, well, why didn't you go to the Cherry Hill Mall? And I was like, well, because the Echelon Mall had Exhilarama, and the Echelon Mall was bigger and like it was right. I mean, it was kind of like it was better. Cherry Hill Mall wasn't that good back then. It was known as saucy.
Well, also, Echelon Mall had Taco Bell, and Cherry Hill Mall did not have Taco Bell. And Echelon Mall also had actually both had Haagen-Dazs and Cinnabon, but yeah, it was really Exhilarama. It was 'cause we wanted to play video games. It was like an arcade, but also had an amusement park. Yeah, so the great part about Echelon Mall in the Exhilarama is that Exhilarama was an arcade and an amusement park because they had a roller coaster inside, and they were the first place to have virtual reality.
Yes.
So it's like you stood inside this like circular ring, and they put the whole helmet on. It was like attached to a tube, like you were in the Matrix, and all of a sudden you'd like be in this very grainy, pixelated,
it's very blocky,
world.
very blocky.
Yeah, and you have to shoot this pterodactyl, and like that was all you did. You were like in this like world. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Big Lebowski, that bowling scene where like they're in this platform floating in space. That's where you were. You were in this platform floating in space, and you'd like look around this pterodactyl. And you had to shoot it with like one dart. And if you missed it, it would take like 30 seconds to regenerate. And you just be like, oh no, the pterodactyl.
And then it would pick you up.
Yeah, and
remember it pick you up
and just drop you. And that was it. And it was like $5.
Oh my god!
And it lasted a minute.
I remember Rick doing it. I feel like I don't know if I ever pulled the trigger. I'm like, I don't know, I can't spend that much. But like you're like, I'm going for it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
There was that, and there was like, I forgot about the roller coaster. There was also like, I remember this one pinball machine called like Conan, and it literally had like a cue ball with
it was that big. It was huge.
These huge flippers. It's like, I'm Conan. I'm gonna play this huge pinball. And then there was another video game that was like, I don't remember this. It was I think a Sega thing, but it was like a hologram. The little like cowboy.
Yes. And
yes.
You were a time cop. Is what you were. You were a
it.
cowboy that went back and forth in time.
That's right.
And there was a wizard on there too. And you would see the wizard, and he would throw down something, and the smoke would go up, and then you would like disappear into another, and then you could like hit it, and you would rewind back.
Yes.
You would jump.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, I remember. And what about and this was a great game, the Aerosmith game.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah.
Revolution.
That was when Aerosmith had like Crying Crazy, Amazing Crazy, all the songs. So
amazing, Crying Crazy, Amazing.
Yeah, you shot CDs at things, and it was like you spent like $5 to get to the end. You'd
terrible. It was the worst game in the world. Are you kidding
the CDs? What?
Aerosmith shoots CD, and there was like dinosaurs in it, and some like robots and dinosaurs and shit.
I don't know.
That game was. I think I'm making a good memory out of it. Maybe it wasn't good, but it was. Yeah, I guess you're shooting CDs. That does sound a little silly.
And there was a movie theater in the Echelon Mall, right?
Yeah. It's like four screens or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing a movie there, but I remember. So our mall escapades was like, like the food court in Echelon Mall. I just remember this being like, it was a thriving mall too. Remember, it was like this thing was a hub for the community.
Oh, the place was bumping.
It was bumping, and we were like out. We're on the prowl. I mean, we were just some cool cats that were out looking for some
soft shell
little
tacos and
a little
Oh my
Cinnabon.
God,
Cinnabon
are
and
you
soft shell taco, which
serious?
basically that was it. We never got any girls, but we
No, we
ended up
didn't.
Are you
finding food.
serious?
We were
I
looking
think
for
we
we were
might be
looking for sugar,
misremembering things a
meat,
little bit.
and we would look at girls, but it was more like let's go to Cinnabon, let's look at video games, and let's play
Yeah.
games, and then let's
That's it.
call
You
one of
mean
our
like we would
parents.
look at girls that were also in the mall and like
Yes.
50 yards away?
Yes. Would any of us ever talk to them? Ever? Do you remember?
No,
I
If
never
anyone
under
did, it would
any
be Adam.
circumstance.
true.
Did you, Adam?
I'm sure I talked to like one or two, but the awkwardness that
Yeah,
I
I mean maybe one or two, maybe one or two.
no, but like the awkwardness, like I mean, what I had no there's nothing in common. I wouldn't bring
Yeah.
up, I wouldn't know what to say. I mean, hey, what's going on? I just
Well,
I
that's
don't
the thing.
I don't think we had a chance with any of them. I mean, maybe I mean, you know, I think I tried to talk to a girl when we were in Mr. Bulky's.
Oh
And
God, the
awkward
candy.
conversation because I
Yes.
was there as I mean, you're getting candy and you're gonna go stuff your face full of it. So it was just a weird conversation to have with somebody, a girl in that store. Be like, you want to go eat some candy? Uh,
Do you want to go eat some candy in the alley?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was just it was gonna be awkward. I mean, it's a 12-year-old eating candy out of a bag. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to share this?
Right.
This bag of worms.
Yeah,
Like,
Do you want to go have some sour worms together?
and then even if you had a conversation with them, you'd be like, "Oh, we're getting picked up in 10 minutes."
Dude,
All right.
my mom's picking us up in 10 minutes. Do you want to eat some sour worms out in the parking lot?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
By that one tree that is
Yeah.
in the parking lot? That's to Mr. Bulky's. Ah, dude. That place. Yeah, you right when you went in, it would just fill up on candy. It was like cruising and then cruising the strip. So it was we were out and just like there was no chance. You're right. The girls, there was no way. There was no way at that period in time. But then there was also the so we were talking
Things
about
did
this.
get much better for us later, right?
Yes, it
I'm
was
assuming
better.
it got better.
Yeah,
Couldn't
yeah.
get worse.
It did not at that point. No, it was like it was. Oh man, yeah.
No, but Brad, you were kind of saying that we were cruising the strip. We had our routine that
What was
it
the
was like
routine? What was it?
it was like cool when you came in the entrance, Mr. Bulky's was right there. So like if anyone wanted candy, then they would get, or we would just go right to Taco Bell. It was like Taco Bell was like, let's get our tacos and our medium Coke to like refill. I mean, I don't know if I think we'd all get something different, but I would always get 2 soft shell tacos and a medium soda, and like we would eat that within like 5 seconds. And then right at the end before the escalators was a Cinnabon. So then you go to Cinnabon, and then you'd either go like downstairs to the Babbage's and the Sam Goody.
Oh,
So like look at CDs or tapes, look at Babbage's, and then go upstairs to the electronics boutique, which is like right at the top of the escalator. And like when we were done that, we were just like, well, now what do we do? Because we went to all the places we want to go.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then it was Exhilarama.
Exhilarama.
Then it was
just
video
play
games.
video games,
Yeah.
splurge, and spend whatever we could on games.
Yeah.
And you had to really like. I remember too for that. I don't know how you all were, what you remember, but like you really had to budget. You had to budget like this is the amount for games. I know sometimes one of us would probably splurge and buy like a new video game for Genesis or something, which we'll talk about. We'll get into some Genesis world and Super Nintendo, but that was like. Right? I mean, it was a lot. I mean, those games were like a lot. It's like, oh man, I've been saving up maybe for a couple of weeks, and we're going to finally like pull the trigger and get
Right.
Bomberman or something. Or, yeah.
I remember we would go in. Our routine was we'd go in and we'd get all the free samples we could from like the Chinese place.
The free sample.
We were gleaning.
We would get free samples like nobody's business, and we would cross over and get. So we would gather up all these free samples, and we knew what it was each and every time. And then we would go to the cookie place, and then we'd get like free samples from the giant cookie place.
Yes.
They had like the cookie cakes, the cookie factor, whatever. And then we would do Babbage's, and then we would go, we'd go to Sam Goody, and then we'd walk around, and we would always go to like a bigger store, like one of the end stores, and then we would come back and eat. and then we would do Exhilarama afterwards. But it was
Okay.
always the debate. Do we go to Exhilarama first or do we go to Exhilarama last? And that was always. But yeah, the free samples were always.
Do, do you realize that Exhilarama now, if I say that, like trying to just detach from our association with it, it kind of sounds like it could be like a porno place, like an adult video store.
Well, I guess it was for in a way. Like it
For
was it was our like fix,
it
and it
was
was our
for
way to
us.
indulge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And that's whenever we would get on the phone and do like a three-way phone call, we'd be like debating between the Echelon Mall and the Cherry Hill Mall. And we're like, but the Echelon Mall has so much better video games. We'd be like, no, but the Cherry Hill Mall has a video game, and it was like there were like 10 of them,
Yeah,
and then
it
that was
was. It was nothing
and it was
there.
like there was nothing else. Yeah, the Cherry Hill Mall lost out like 9 times out of 10 to the Cherry Hill Mall or to the Echelon Mall. Sorry.
It's like I feel bad. Like I don't know what the state of malls are now. You know, I mean, we just don't go to the mall.
mhm.
It's I don't I doubt I there's one mall out here that I remember going years ago and I was like, "Ooh, this seems like it's like a zombie movie." You know, there's just like it's this quiet stillness. It's like no one's here. What's going on? It was kind of like it's a little scary.
The Echelon Mall has now turned into Brad the Voorhees Town Center. So they tore probably three-quarters of it down,
Whoa,
and they built condominiums.
whoa.
So yeah, it's considerably smaller than it was, and they built a lot of housing down there as well. So that's actually flourished. And then they were using the fact that you could get to the high speed line and into Philadelphia a little bit better, a little bit
Oh,
easier
okay,
for less of a price. But yeah, it's now the Voorhees Town Center, so it's not even the Echelon Mall is no longer.
okay. It's all right. Well, not the way I remember it. I remember it. I remember buying cassette singles there. I remember going and getting like you get that one song. What's some of the things you guys remember like music at the time that was just like that was it. That was the best.
Well, can't touch this. MC Hammer. I remember getting that single or Paul Abdul straight up. Uh,
Mm. Paul Abdul was everywhere for like 3 or 4 years, right? She was everywhere.
Nice. It's
Uh,
nice to own that. Just saying that, because it is kind of like, yeah, this is can't touch that. It's we loved it. We loved it.
Come on, Rick.
Y-
What about Vanilla Ice? I mean, can you
Oh
can,
yeah,
can you sing it? Can you sing
of
the whole
course.
song?
Everybody on this phone call knows every word of that song, and if you tell me you don't, then you're a liar. Everybody knows MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice because we all looked in the fucking tape cassette thing with for the words, either in the CD or the tape, and
The
you
liner
read through all the
notes.
words
The
as soon as
liner
you
notes.
the
mhm.
liner notes. Yes, I remember sitting up there studying that shit. Like I had a test on it the next day.
You had to. You had to know it.
Yeah,
You had to know it and be able to repeat verbatim. That's you'd get graded on from your
so
peers,
this is
peer grades.
that's right. This is a really vivid memory for me. I don't know if I ever told you this part, but so we're talking about songs, right, from that time period. And I remember you and me and your brother went to the movies in the summertime, and he was driving the blue tracker with the soccer ball hanging from the rearview
Oh,
mirror,
The Geo Tracker. Yeah.
the Geo Tracker, right? And Four Non Blondes came on, and what I can
What's up?
almost tell you the
oh
yeah, yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
But
my
I could
god.
almost tell you the movie that we were going to go see. Maybe it was Jurassic Park because we were going to Atco, and the top was off the tracker. It was like this summer day, and it's not the best song in the world for the soundtrack, but whatever. It was the soundtrack that was on at the time, and it's just a really cool memory for me.
Yeah, Echo Multiplex,
Yeah,
as we touched on earlier, was the first multiplex in our area, and it was like Shangri-La for people who wanted to go see movies because you go there and you had 12 options as opposed to any other
yeah,
theater you'd have two or three. So like just
Yeah.
imagine, I mean now you have endless options, right? Anytime you open up your phone, you could watch anything you could ever imagine that's ever been made. But
Yeah.
there you'd only had 12 options. So it's like, okay, and when we go as kids, we'd often get dropped off, and a couple times when we were going to want to see our movies, and some places would let you slide, but like other places wouldn't. And I remember one time I think we went to go see Time Cop or something. That's another
Dude.
Van Damme movie. And like they didn't let us buy the tickets, and we were like, oh shit. And they're like, so we looked at all the other movies. We had to like reconvene again. I think we saw A Man Without a Face, which is like this like, but
You
what's that
said
guy's? I know I said Mel Gibson, where he's like
what?
disfigured and like
Oh,
mentors some kid.
Yeah.
Um, and like I remember we saw that because we couldn't see Time Cop, and like that's another thing is like you just didn't have access to all that stuff because
yeah.
you had to go to the theater and like the person had to sell you a ticket. And if you didn't get a ticket, like yeah, I could just go on my computer and watch it whenever we want, right? So
But
that was
like
the
you did it. You had. I remember saving movie stubs. I remember like I had a huge collection of all these movies that we go to because it's like it was still more meaningful. I don't know. Right now, like I want to. It's hard to make like something I'm watching right now as meaningful as like the investment of time you would take back then. You know, even just now. I mean, I haven't gone to a movie in whatever a year, but it's um like you'd be able to go and just like it was just a really cool experience because everything wasn't at your disposal. You know.
Right, and it was everything leading up to it. It was opening up the newspaper. It
Yeah.
was seeing what was playing. It was, getting the list saying, okay, this one is here at this time. What time is it now? Can I get there? This is playing at this theater. This is playing at this theater. And then the actual, like, I mean, it was a huge event. And
Yeah.
then you're going to this place, and yeah, you're being dropped off by your parents, but you're buying popcorn, you're getting a soda, you're getting the incredible sugar high from that soda, and the snow caps, or whatever
Dude,
whatever else
the snow
whatever
caps
else
are
you're
so good.
getting. But it was an event, and it was such planning, and I think that was part of it, is that you're planning it, so far in advance to, I thought, and two things again. I feel even older. I was looking in a newspaper to see what was playing on on
Yes.
screen, and where it was, and then the conversation that we would all have of debating. And I mean, the four of us had good debates. We should go see this one because this one is out now, or this one, so on and
Like
so
it might
forth.
be going out of the theater or something. Like we got to
Right.
catch it now, or this
Yeah.
one just came out. It's gonna be too busy.
Right, exactly. Or you would wait in line to go see the movie, and you're waiting in line for like an hour to
Yeah.
to make sure that you got a ticket to get into, a movie, where now you can get a reservation to go, to see a movie, or you buy tickets, a week ahead of time, or anything like that. I mean, that never existed because they had to print the actual ticket in the theater for you to go, to go see it. So I think it was more of
Yeah.
an event, and it was great.
So the thing that is interesting is the way that like how easy it was for us to do all that, right? Like right now we have all these conveniences. It's just a little bit of like, this compare and contrast. I'm sure every generation looks back and is like, oh, it was so easy and simple, and we still got things done, but like I mean, we did. How it's hard to imagine, with what we're doing now, like we were still functioning. We were still doing stuff. We were having fun, right?
yeah.
Without the level of, tech.
Adam, you go.
Yeah, I mean, everything, we made everything to be fun. I mean, even when things went, they didn't go the right way, we still made fun with it, no matter what. I mean, the four of us, I mean, we would always look at the brighter side, or we would always find something that was more fun, or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, we still got it done. We accomplished it, no matter what it was, and we all had fun, and we were all good hearted about it. Even if someone might have gotten in trouble or whatever, it was fun. You're right, Brad, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say there's two things that I think about. One is we didn't know what was to come, so we didn't know what we were missing. Right? We didn't
Mm.
know that like now people are gonna have access to anything they want at their fingertips instantaneously. That you're constantly connected. That you can like basically have 20 different plans lined up, and at the last minute decide on one because you can just text everybody in a second, right? Where back then, like you said, Adam, you had to plan for stuff. You had to look ahead and prep, and then like that was the plan. Like 3 o'clock, we're gonna meet at Brad's to go to the movie that starts at 4. So we gotta
Mm.
get there at 3:30 to get tickets. Like it was all set up in motion. And like once that first domino fell, that was the plan. Like I couldn't text Brad on the way over, like Brad, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. You would just wait, and you're like, where the hell's Matt? Like it's
Yeah.
3:35, he's not here. Like so, you would also be more, I think, likely to show up on time and be where you're supposed to be at that time because you couldn't contact someone on the way. Like right now, how many times do we think of like, oh, I'll take a shower, I'll just text him, tell him I'm gonna be 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
Like then you couldn't do that. So I think like we had to be more purposeful with the activities we did together. So maybe things kind of with that planning and that purpose, we had a lot of fun because we put the time into prepping and like making it happen. And yeah, what if like then we'd have to find 10 cents to make a phone call because we couldn't just get our cell phones and text our mom. We'd be like, all right, whose mom's picking us up or whose dad? And like we call them, we tell them, okay, 3:30, can you pick us up? And we'd find this and like make sure we had 10 cents left. Like that was like all else
Yeah.
fails. Maybe we spent all the money on arcades, but we had the 10 cents to make the phone call at the end. Otherwise we were stranded at the mall.
Dude, that's it. And it worked. Miracle, right? It just always worked out.
Right.
Yeah,
And
we,
planning and we had to figure out, and that was another thing, is we were negotiating with our parents at that point. Hey, can you pick us up if Matt's parents drop us off, or Brad's mom, or this and that, or Rick's mom, and and it was all dependent on how many people you could fit in the car. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
and we
And you, and,
go
and
for
you could you could you know and you couldn't Uber, so like and we wouldn't call a taxi because like in the suburbs taxis like did not really exist. I mean they did, but we didn't know how to call them, and our parents would never let us go in a taxi.
It
Like
was
this
like
is like that was a city
scary.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
taxi was like a city thing. It's like, and it kind of scared you. It'd be like, no, there's no way. That's cabby. Cabby's gonna get you.
Yeah, Total Recall, right?
Don't freak out.
right. And even
Johnny Cab.
Yeah.
riding public transportation. I mean, I remember the first time I was on the high speed line. Like, tell my mom or anyone that I was getting on the high speed line. I was like, I mean, that was in and of itself.
Dude.
You
Yeah.
were, I mean, that was ultimate freedom, and then you were going somewhere else in another vehicle that wasn't your parents' car.
Yeah.
Or you weren't walking. Like you were on public transportation with a bunch of adults, and you were like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and you were like, this is all right. I'm doing, I'm doing adult stuff. I'm doing doing big boy stuff. It's
Do you think that still happens? Like, where it's at right now, where we're at in the world, is that like, that age we were at? Is that still going on? Is that happening?
I don't know. I don't think so. And in Haddonfield, I mean, I want to go back to that. I don't think it's happening in Haddonfield. I don't think what we were doing when we were living in Haddonfield is happening. I don't think kids are getting on the speed line and going anywhere. I really don't. I mean, I mean, I think we would take a chance on it, and I think we did do it. But no, I don't think it's happening. I don't think. I mean, kids aren't Ubering. Kids aren't anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't. I think there's a weird mix because now that you can be connected all the time, that maybe there's some sense of security that I know that my child can always contact me if necessary. Not my child, but I'm just speaking for
Yeah.
someone at Haddonfield, for example. So like maybe you let that leash a little bit longer because you know that they can contact you if anything goes wrong. So it's just like text me when you get there, or if anything happens, you can call me. So I don't know. I think there's some additional freedom, but with like constant connection, constant like a tether, like a tether ball going around that pole that you might be able to get far away from the pole, but you're always tethered to that pole with a cell phone. You can always be contacted. So maybe parents are letting their kids be a little more free, going out
Mm.
and doing whatever. Because now it's also like you're constantly in contact with people all the time. So you don't even need to go anywhere. You can order it, have it sent to your house. You can like
Yeah.
chat online. You can play video games online. Like, you don't need to go to Exhilarama to play video games with your friends. I can just sit in my bedroom and play with people all over the world right now. So like that's the other part, is like that just social interactions are so different now that you don't need to leave your home. Where
Yeah.
before, if we wanted to see our friends, we had to get up and go to their house or like meet somewhere. Where
Right.
now we're talking on this we're seeing each other, we're listening to each other, and we're in Arizona, Westchester, Haddonfield, and Abington. We're like 4 different parts in the universe, all
Yeah.
connected right now. Where before that was like a 3-way phone call was
Yeah.
mind-boggling. Like, wait, there's 3 people on the phone? Like, you have call waiting? So
I remember I remember call waiting, like one of the even, what was it, caller ID. I remember the little box that you'd
yeah,
hook in and see and be like, oh my gosh, I can see the number and it says their last name, and sometimes the letters would be all messed up, but it was like, that was pretty amazing. I think it's interesting though, what you're saying, because it's like I think I go both ways, where it's like, oh man, the good old days, and like to right now I'm like, oh, this is just we're going down the tubes, but there's these miracles that are happening, like being able to do this is incredible, this is like amazing technology, it's a miracle. And yet I also long for these older days that like I said, each generation probably says that, but it's like the freedom to not have to be in contact at all hours of the day, and the pressure to be constantly giving of yourself in that space where you're just like, oh, I just need to like think and just chill, you know?
Right. And even to the fact that what Matt was just saying, I mean, Brad, the last time we saw you in person, you were in Philadelphia, and I saw you were playing at a place on South Street.
The TLA, maybe that one, the Hollow Earth thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And we had to wait to see you. We had to wait for you to come there from Arizona to hang out, or we would see, you come and see your parents. But
Yeah.
now we're able to do this on Zoom, and we're able to, I mean, see someone and talk to them over a phone, a computer, or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the simpler times are great, but to reconnect with, an elementary school, a junior high school friend like this, and to have a conversation, I mean, it couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
We had to wait to see you, to talk to you and to hang out. So yeah, I mean, I agree with Matt 100%, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's something that Meredith and I talk a lot about, is this past year, the pandemic. What would this have been like if it happened in the 90s?
Oh,
Because
wow, dude.
you couldn't have online school. You'd get a whole printed packet delivered to your house of the worksheets for the semester, or you'd make phone calls all the time and pay these exorbitant long distance fees. But now we're all connected right now with no problem, and you can do all these things online, virtually, where in the 90s you wouldn't be able to. So it would, we're very fortunate, I think, as Brad was saying, that like there are good and bad with every era in
Mm.
human history, right? Like, I'm glad that I didn't have to worry about smallpox as a child, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet, now kids have to worry about predators on social media, which I didn't have to worry about as a kid. So it's like,
Yeah.
with these new things that bring all this freedom and ability, or like access and advances, also there's a flip side of it, and that's constant. I feel like, so it's just kind of like the good things hopefully outweigh the bad.
We just had to worry about Mr. Softy coming with an axe
Right.
instead of an ice cream, a cone, nice sweet cone. No, that's funny. I don't know why I haven't thought about this whole time, like the 90s, and like what if this was happening then, and how would we deal with it? Or like the 70s. What if this happened in the 70s? We just have a nice cool smoke that was, cigarettes were good for us, and a nice scotch.
Right. Yeah. Go back to 60s. Go back to the man.
Just,
Go back to Ed.
Chew on a little asbestos, and you call it a night, man, and you're all good to go.
Well, and that's also the thing, that if you look at the pandemic, I mean, granted, the Spanish flu was horrific back in the early 1900s, but planes, I mean, international flight was not happening in the 90s. Like,
That's
I mean,
true.
China had what, one, maybe two airports at that point.
Wow.
Japan had one. Singapore had one. like there weren't as many international flights, which have spread this pandemic. So in the 90s, yeah, I mean, could it have happened? Sure, but I don't think it would have, because of all the, the international flights weren't happening. Like there
That's
weren't many people traveling then, and even when they were, I mean, you had different levels of people who could travel in the 90s or even
yeah.
in the 80s,
That's
because
so.
plane tickets were so expensive, and you didn't have the Southwest, you didn't have the the economy airlines.
Yeah.
So you had certain people that were flying and certain people that weren't, but it, the
It's
globalization really has brought this pandemic full circle more than anything.
it's interesting because we kind of just we went in a depth for a moment there, and I'm gonna pivot and just bring it back for a moment to Sega Genesis. We're going to
All
go
roads
for
lead back to Sega Genesis.
globalization, the globalization, industrialization of the modern era, and back to Sega Genesis. Boom! Look at that. And but honestly, what you were just saying, it's interesting. It's a thing I haven't thought about, and it's kind of a fun like way of like going into the past and having a different view of like from what we're experiencing right now. But I did want to touch on Genesis because the other part I was just thinking of all of us was like, I think we did all those things, movies and mall, like year round, but like, I don't know. It's kind of also just thinking like summertime, and it's weird because like summertime and winter, obviously, like winter, we'd be really hunkered in, and probably we'd go sledding and stuff, which was great. Like we were always out. We were always out doing stuff through the seasons. Winter was like snow, you're out, but it's also freezing, so probably in more with like Genesis and playing games. Spring, summer, fall is like, yeah, we're going out playing ball tag. And for those of you who do not know what ball tag is, it's still like one of the best fun games. It was just you throw a ball at someone and then they're it. but we would, and this is also it speaks to the time era. We'd be running through people's yards and hiding in people's yards in like a block radius, running in and jumping in their fence, and it's like that was fine. That was cool. If I did that now, well, I'm too old right now. I'd be, it'd be a stalker. It's not good. I'm gonna get the police are gonna call me. But even kids now, I mean, again, it's maybe not they're not doing that, but that was fun, man. That was fun times.
Well, that's the living in this real tight knit community, Haddonfield. It's almost like you felt licensed to just run everywhere, and we were all part of the same family in a way. So especially in the neighborhood around where Mountwell and Washington, it was like that was our playground, whether it was our yard or someone else's yard. And some parents, some neighbors weren't as excited. Like we knew the yards we couldn't go in, or the ones we had to like run through quickly and probably get yelled at. But
Yeah.
like the O'Donnells, like I know like how many times he yelled at me, and he would live right behind me. But it was like, but we still did it because we were also kids, and we're just like, what are they gonna do to us? Like,
Right.
what's the worst that can happen? Like, they're not gonna pull out a shotgun or like
They're not
they're
gonna
just
tase
gonna,
us.
yes, exactly. They're not gonna shame me on social media. It's just gonna or cancel me, whatever.
You cancel a 13-year-old. I'm feeling such shame for my ball tagging.
and I think it's important. There was none of our balls were being tagged. It was just like we had a ball to. That's how you tag the other person. You threw this ball literally at the other person, and the only way you could defend is either to be missed or to catch it, right? And if you caught it, then you could just throw it anywhere you want. Which that was one of the most rewarding experiences, when you would be face to face someone, they'd throw it, and you catch it, you'd be like, now I'm going to toss it that way really far.
Get it out, and then you get time to hide and run and split.
It was like a continuous moving dodgeball. Like you catch that ball, and I mean, yeah, you're right. You're gonna chuck it, and you're gonna get away, and you're gonna go hide. And we all knew the hiding spots, and we all knew where it was, but yeah, it was that freedom, and it was weather, and we even played in the wintertime. And it was awesome. We were out, and we were. It was great. It was great and perfect, for a pandemic. Throwing a ball 6 feet away from someone.
Yeah, we were already social distance for that.
Perfect social distancing for that.
Ball tag versus hashtag. I'll take ball tag.
But yeah, I mean, and even Brad, drawing on what you were saying with Sega Genesis, I mean, you had to gather 4 people around. I mean, you had 2 plugs in there, and when they came out with 4-player, I mean,
Dude.
that was mind blowing.
So do you remember when 4-player came out? Because this was something that now that I was like thinking about when we were doing the show here, is like, some of these games, General Chaos, Bomberman, that were just like so freaking loaded and awesome. And that was like the first time 4 people we could all play.
Right. Yep. You wouldn't
When
have
did-
to
This is like, yeah, I want to say it's like 93, 94. You get the multiplayer, and there were two different ones. There was one that both plugs were going at the same time, and it was like a hexagon around it, and they had the 4
Yes.
pieces. And then there was the other one that was just one singular plug that came out to a box that had 4 ports. And those are the 2 different multiplayer ones. And it was like the hockey, we could play 4 players. Obviously, General Chaos, Bomberman, and
95 was the best game to play with 4 players.
Which one?
NHL 95 or NBA Jam as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, NBA. I'm just like looking real quick to see here. Yeah. Oh,
there's
So
the
that
one
was
that's
it.
the single one with the 4, and then there was the other one. I think it was like, I don't know if it was the EA Sports made or whatever, but it was like both plugged into both ports, and then it was this big like hexagon thing in the front that had the 4 ports.
yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I forgot about NHL and Madden,
Yeah.
right? Those were like all, man, so good. That was like the beginnings. That was also the beginnings. Now everything video game, I haven't followed video games like the newer versions of everything, but that's like everything's built off of that. Those were the originals.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the multiplayer started at that point. I mean, you had player 1 and player 2, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, now, like Matt was saying earlier, I mean, in the globalization, you're playing with kids in India, in China, and in Singapore, and all over the world, Brazil, and and they're playing all these multiplayer games with the headsets and the this and that, and you're logging onto the internet. I mean, that's really where we are right now within the video games. But
Yeah.
yeah, 95 with playing 4 players, you just didn't have to sit there and wait on the couch. I mean, yeah, it unbelievable.
Oh, blew our minds. It literally multiplied the fun that we had with the multiplayer, because all 4 of us could engage, and there usually be 4 or 5 of us. So like the odd man out would be sitting waiting for like the person who finished in last to then be replaced. And it was, Bomberman, as you said, was the big one with you get the kangaroo things or the cataroos, whatever. And General Chaos, like those games were the better. I think we played those more than any other multiplayer game. It was like Bomberman and General Chaos. It was just like back and forth. And yeah, and you touched on it earlier, Brad, is that like we would be out all the time and we're playing video games. You'd like run around for a while, like get hot and sweaty, like drink some Country Time lemonade or some Coke, and then play some General Chaos and Bomberman, and then go out again, and then go back in and play games. It was just like constant.
Yes.
We were out and about, or we were playing video games and drinking like high sugary beverages and eating like Nestle Crunches and hot fries and whatever else we get our hands on.
I don't think I can get hot fries out here. I've looked for them recently just because I'm like that feeling that it's such a distinct taste. It's like that Andy Cap hot fries. So good.
I still eat them every once in a while with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I can
Really?
crush like oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh
I can
my
do the whole
God.
bag in one sitting. It's disgusting.
I remember
Makes you feel terrible
I would
afterwards.
do it where there'd be a whole bag, and it was like you get to that end and you're like, this is like burning because it's the
Yeah, it's
powder.
horrible.
And
But you have to finish it though.
yeah, you got to do it. You got
That movie, that and Kickboxer, those 2 things go hand in hand. The movie and the snack, or Street Fighter 2.
So that's
And
something
hot
people
fries.
can try on their own if they want to have a really 90s experience, is watch Kickboxer and down a thing of hot fries
Oh god.
and a Snapple.
Yeah. Hashtag not a sponsor.
That's right.
That's raw. Darn it. I see I said something. Yeah.
So you plugged them.
Ah,
They gotta pay
they
you for
win
it,
now.
man.
Darn it. Product placement in the podcast. That stinks. Gotta do something about that. The those were so much fun though. I mean that was like, and then I mean going to Wedgwood and swim. It's just like there was the balance of out and in, and it was just like it's so nice to be able to have that. Obviously, like, things are a little different now, but it's just being able to have that freedom. Like I guess this is the thing. We were playing a lot of video games because I thought about this. Like, oh yeah, maybe we were on there a little too much at times, but we weren't on the computer too, you know, like
Mhm.
we weren't doing that. I mean, I don't know, maybe I watched a lot of TV. I actually like was trying to take a tally of like an average kid day for myself, and the amount of like junk food and TV I watched, it was a lot. It was a lot. I don't know how you guys were. I mean, I would like wake up and eat like sugar cereal and then whatever we go to school, and then eat like dessert for lunch, and then come home and have like half a bag of Chips Ahoy and milk, and then have dinner, and then have like ice cream after that. We were like hummingbirds, hummingbird boys.
With diabetes, I guess, because all the sugar. Uh, no, I think that we didn't have all the things that we carry with us, the devices too. So it was like you'd watch TV or play video games. Like those were the screens, right?
Yeah.
And then also to hang out with each other, the only way to hang out with each other is to be physically in the same place. So
Yes.
we couldn't also like play games together, or like be on a group text or even on a group phone call or a video call. Like it was like we want to see Rick, I'll call him and like maybe he's not there. Oh yeah, he went to Adam's. Then I would just like ride my bike over to Adam's house and just show up and be like, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, you're hanging out here, cool, let's hang out together.
Yeah.
So that was the other parts, like the physical. It was the necessity of being physically in the same place to be with people. Um,
Yeah.
that just changes everything.
And your bike was your freedom. I mean, that was your only freedom. I mean, yeah, you could walk, but that's going to take you forever. So you're going to get on a bike and you're going to go to Wedgwood. You know, you're
Yeah.
going to be able to get across, and that's also another good thing about Haddonfield. I mean, you could get across Haddonfield in like 25, 30 minutes on a bike. I mean, you could go end to end on that. And that was your freedom. Once, you know, you didn't know when you were 5, 6 years old that once you started riding your bike, you know, that was going to be your freedom. But that was our freedom when we were more physically active. Honestly, riding a bike like 5 miles or whatever to somebody's house, you
Yeah.
know, or to get to Wedgwood or get to 7-Eleven and play a video game, or, you know, we're all going to ride our bikes over to Elizabeth Haddon and go see Brad and Yoan and, you know, all the other people and play, you know, games at Elizabeth Haddon. I mean, that's what we had to do to you know, to get there. So we were more physically active, I think, at that point. And then we were playing running games. I mean, we were playing jailbreak. We were playing ball tag. Yeah, all the sugary drinks and everything that we were having. But man, if we would count our steps. Oh goodness, I'm sure we put enough on the ground. I'm
I'd
sure we made it through our steps every day.
Our original Fitbits.
Yeah.
Now, can I break Rick? I want to put you on the spot here because you did not have Sega Genesis. You had Super Nintendo, which was there were like the Super Nintendo folks and the Sega Genesis folks. I feel like
Yeah.
Rick had Super Nintendo and you got Street Fighter because of that. Like that was the big win
Yeah.
for having Super Nintendo is you got Street
That's
Fighter.
right. You got Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, and yeah. So I'd love you to talk about your Super Nintendo-ness.
Spill the beans. Spill the beans.
Yeah, you know, so here's the thing, Tart. Like when you're a Super Nintendo guy, you don't see yourself as different. You know what I mean? Like that's just normal for you. You know what I mean? But like it's only when someone who's not a Super Nintendo guy comes to hang out and they're like, oh, they start labeling you. You know what I mean? Like pointing fingers. Oh, you're the Super Nintendo guy. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to be a guy, man. Why can't you just be a regular dude?
There was a lot of othering that happened.
Yes.
You were a marginalized group because it was like Sega Genesis was definitely the dominant.
It was
group.
the dominant one. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, there were like the Sonic the Hedgehog, and then there was I don't even know what the equivalent was.
Super
You had,
Mario.
like,
It was like
oh, yeah,
Super Mario
yeah.
to Sonic. And honestly, there, I think Super Mario wins from.
Yeah,
Dude, with Super Mario with the cape, remember
Yeah.
you could fly around with the cape?
Dude,
Super
yeah,
Mario
that was
3, right?
Mario 3, yeah. Which was for the original, but that's you know,
No, I thought the one with the cape when you could
No, that was 3. That was Super Mario Brothers.
with the
3.
I thought-
squirrel,
no,
he had the
3
little
was with the
squirrel
raccoon
tail.
tail.
Yeah, yeah.
3 was the
Uh,
raccoon tail.
Oh, you're
4
right.
was
You're
with
right.
the cape.
Oh,
and
with
it
the
was Super
cape. You're
Nintendo.
right. That was Super
And it was
Nintendo.
Yoshi. That was the introduction of Yoshi.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
right.
And then also was that like Sky Fox that
Sky
game?
Star
Fox, yeah.
Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox. That game was awesome.
That was really good.
It was a great game.
I was a big so the Street Fighter 2 thing. I actually like have a PlayStation here, the original, and I
Awesome.
have two games for it. I have Twisted Metal 2 and I have
Oh.
Street Fighter
Twisted Metal
2.
2 is a great game.
Oh man.
So good.
Yeah.
I like have those and I'm just like that's the game. Sometimes I plug it in and I'll go for it. But that's like those are really good. And Super Nintendo had that. Yeah, well, the PlayStation was like the next. I stopped at PlayStation. That's when I kind of was
Oh,
like, I
Brad,
capped out.
no. Are you kidding? No,
I
you
did.
did. You had
I had them all.
3DO,
Well,
you had PlayStation, CD, you had Sega CD, right? Sega CD?
I had Sega
Oh.
CD
Oh,
with
yeah.
Night. Remember that game? There was a game with Night.
Well, there was Ground Zero Texas.
Ground
Ground
Zero,
Zero,
Texas,
Texas.
yeah.
Yeah,
With
dude.
it had the cannon that you put on your shoulder, right? The gun. Ground Zero, Texas, didn't it come with a gun? An
I think
orange
so.
gun?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. I know what you're talking about.
I thought
Yes.
Sega CD came with an orange gun.
Sega CD came with or it was 3DO. It was one of those because it was like all the like new CD ones. So
3DO.
it was like 3DO.
3DO was dope, man.
And
You're the
Sega
only one who
CD.
had 3DO.
I'm the
He was
only
the
one,
only one that
in
had
the
3DO.
in the US that had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About it. I mean, Brett, your dad was cooler than all of our dads. Like,
Was he?
He'd be like, Brad, we should get this, and you'd be like, you would tell your dad, you'd be like, Dad, I think we should get 3DO. He'd be like, I think we should too. Like, I would say that to my dad, and he'd be like, what is no? There's no. I could not see Jack doing it. I could not see Mike Price doing it. Like, there's not one father out of any of our fathers that would be like, I think we should buy this video game. But
Oh,
your
that's
dad
pretty
was
cool.
to do that. Like, he was like, I think we should, Brad. And,
Awesome.
and that was amazing that he went in on it. And then I'm sure your dad like played it every now and again too. I'm sure.
He would play some with me. Yeah. Yeah, he would do that. My mom's always like told me the story how she would play, and this is going back to Nintendo, but she'd come in and play Zelda, and we got addicted, and then I'd be like sleeping, and I'd wake up and go, Mom, what are you doing? She'd be like, I'm just finishing this board. Yell at her, say, get out of here. But that was, those were, those the game worlds. It was fun. It was good stuff. Oh, all right. Well, listen, I know you guys, it's late there, and since you're in the future, you're more tired than me. It's been great talking.
Saturday Night Live before you, Brad.
You get to see that. You get to laugh. You get to laugh before I do.
The Echo will reach Arizona in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It does. It's fun. We watch it here when it comes on, so it's.
Hey, good thing that you guys didn't, come in with the daylight savings time. You guys are, staying on real.
I like that, man. Yeah, that's the big one. It's that my biggest protest in the whole world is no daylight savings time. That's why I'm in. That's why I'm here. It's Revenge of the Nerds because we don't change our clocks. No one's going to tell me to change my clock.
No, you guys are stalwarts.
These
Kind of-
colors don't run.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right.
No, it's cool, man. Yeah, memory lane is fun to go down, especially with you guys are awesome. I mean,
Yeah, you just honk your horn down memory lane, and it's fun. Honk if you're horny.
Yeah, I'll take that ride any day.
Honk if you're corny. That's more like what we're doing. All right, guys. Peace out. Love and lovey loves.
love, man. Love you guys. Have a good night. Thanks for doing this, Brad.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
See you guys.
Thank you, Brad. Rick, it was nice seeing you. Apparently, sometimes.
That was a good time. That was fun trip. Tripping down memory lane, early 90s style with my buddies. Geez, it is true. The freedom of just being on your bike. That was it. That was your ticket to paradise. That was the way you're free. You just like, that's it. You had a vehicle. That was your vehicle. And it could get you all over the place. Your whole world. I mean, it's like these cliches that we read about in books and movies from the time, but it was totally what it was like where we grew up. The other thing we didn't really get into, which is funny, is we had an ongoing game of Gotcha Last. And Gotcha Last was basically you tag the person, you know how to play, you tag them, then they have to get you or they're it. And that's how it goes. So the deal was, as we were getting dropped off at each house, it became apparent that one person was going to be it, you know. So you'd leave the car and you'd have to try to tag somebody and slam the door shut and then get away so they couldn't get you, and that would be it. They'd be tagged till next you met. And there's some times where it was like, you know, the arm could have just gotten like, we would like slam the side of the minivan door shut, and I swear, you know, somebody's arm could have just gotten lopped off. Then it would have been bad. But maybe you could have gotten like a cybernetic arm and it would have been stronger, lasting all these years later. It would have been more powerful. I don't know. Thanks again for my buds joining me tonight through the ethers of the web and all of our ones and zeros interacting through the online platforms. Really good time. And all of you, stay well, stay fresh. See you next time.
They are your